we were
and then the environment was cleaned up.
First time I was hearing about this stuff. Wow. It was totally new to me. With social impact consulting. The year 2022 is about to end. And I know you started the year thinking, I want to start my nonprofit. I have a passion for what I want to change the world. But time, life, responsibilities came into play. Well, the year is about to end without you having to miss your New Year's resolution of starting and running a sustainable nonprofit, social enterprise, or impact organization in Nigeria or around sub-Saharan Africa. My name is Efwa Ellens Ede with Social Impact Consulting. We're a development consultancy firm that looks to maximize social impact. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the bell notification so that you can be notified of my upcoming videos on how to start and run a nonprofit in 30 days. You're thinking, is it possible? Come on a ride with me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the bell notification and I'll give you day-to-day tips on how to get going, to start your nonprofit and be on your way to maximizing social impact. I'll see you there.
Civil society represents the third sector, if you may, and it's inclusive of the media, NGOs, thought leaders, and people who just have a say in how a country, a people, or a place is run.
At the core of the work that we do is a strong belief that to really address educational inequity and inequality requires us really building a critical mass of dynamic, passionate, committed leaders who will dedicate themselves to addressing the different issues within the educational sector and the educational space.
Young people need to get into the government and then be able to push for issues that affect them, because you can't keep staying out and then thinking that things will work in for your own good. So you need to be able to prepare yourself.
Society represents a community of engaged individuals who work with us to build consensus around progressive policy options and to give citizens a voice in governance.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Development Sector Series, which is Devsectorseries. Thank you again so much for your love and support joining this channel. Please like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and click on the bell notification so that you can be notified anytime I go live. One quick announcement. I am going to be doing a daily YouTube video on how to start your NGO in 30 days. There are some people that started 2022 saying, hey, I want to start a nonprofit organization. I want to change the world. I see all these people like my special guest here, Grace Jerry, changing the world, making their mark, maximizing social impact. I want to join the bandwagon. So if that's the way you're thinking, just subscribe to my channel, click on the bell notification on my YouTube, and then you'll be able to be notified anytime I go anytime I upload a video. Another thing I'm going to be doing as well, Untold Impact. I am going to be premiering the documentary next month. Okay, so I am going to let you know the date. In fact, the trailer that you just saw, it's going to be uploaded on the YouTube channel, and then the first episode, it's going to have a premiere date, okay? Because that is what the partners are going to be sharing, because we're going to have a premiere date. We're actually going to be having a press release really soon. So keep your legs peeled. I am so excited about this, because we're talking about the role of civil society in development. And we want to get in front of it and letting our politicians know, those who want to run for office, those who are making us all the promises now that they want us to elect them, to let them know that civil society organizations are here. We want to be part of the conversation. We want to be part of what is going on in developing our country and turning the course of things in Nigeria. Because of civil society organization, Nigeria has not become a failed state. I can take that to the bank, because civil society organizations have been in front of things for decades, okay? It didn't start today. It started during the colonial times, pre-colonial times, moving forward till today. You could take that to the bank. Civil society organizations, we are the last frontier, okay? And I'm very excited about what is going to be happening now. So please, if you like what you're watching, please make sure you keep sharing as we're working on the live broadcast. We are actually going to be speaking to a wonderful guest talking about disability rights. And actually, the Persons with Disabilities episode is actually one of my favorites, because it is when you watch it, you feel uplifted. You know what I mean? And that is an exciting messaging for the disability community. Not just saying, oh, yeah, we want to help these people. No. It is an exciting, it's uplifting, in terms of a right framework, and they're very strong advocates in the disability community. So I'm excited about this very special guest, who was really, when you're interviewing somebody for a documentary and they give you so many punchlines, and you're editing, doing post-production, you're like, oh my God, which one do I use? You get what I'm saying? So, she really brought it, and so I'm excited about us even having a conversation with her today on Devsectorseries. So I'm going to be reading the bio of our very own guest. I'm Grace Jerry, who is a gospel music artist who has the voice of an angel. She's also a pageant queen, and she is a disability rights advocate. So she has the strength, the strength of an oak, which is being a disability rights advocate, and also having the grace and femininity of a woman. So that is what is, because a lot of times people say, oh, social justice warriors are so masculine. Not this guest. So I'm very excited about having a conversation with her. So I'm just going to go ahead and read her bio. Grace Jerry is a Nigerian disability advocate, human rights activist, a musician, and a beauty pageant queen who was awarded Miss Wheelchair Nigeria. She is a spokesperson for over 25 million Nigerians who are living with disabilities. Grace Jerry is the executive director of Inclusive Friends Association, and she is a 2015 Mandela Washington Fellows who were honored by President Barack Obama. She brought freshness to advocacy efforts through her unique blend of passion and music, bringing prominence to the importance of the roles of persons with disabilities in development. Since emerging as Miss Wheelchair National Queen, she has remained consistent in her passion to mainstream disability and development issues through her work at Inclusive Friends Association, providing direction and inspiration for change. As WaterAid Nigeria's official spokesperson on disability in water, sanitation, and hygiene, Grace works to ensure inclusive access for persons with disabilities, to end violence through benefit concerts, the proceeds of which have provided toilets for schools serving children with disabilities. Grace is really an awesome disability advocate, and I look forward to our conversation today. So, guess what? Allow me to introduce to some and present to others Grace Jerry, the Executive Director of Inclusive Friends Association. Hello, Grace. How are you? Grace, are you there? Hello? Are you there? Hello, Grace. Looks like we're having some network issues. It looks like we're having some network issues. Look, this is the Internet of Things. Let me just reach out to her right quick and see what is going. Oh, there she is. Hi, Grace. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm good. How you doing, F1? I
I
hope you
am
can hear
excellent.
me. How you doing, F1?
I can hear you
All
loud
right,
and
perfect.
clear. I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much for joining us because I know that you're extremely busy. You just finished a live broadcast at AIT. So just coming in
Yes,
to
yes.
join us is such an honor and privilege. Again, thank you so much. And you know I've been asking you to speak at Devsectorseries for
Thank you
quite a
so
while
much. I'm glad
now.
to be here.
And so I'm excited that you
Yeah.
could make some time to join us. Okay. So I'm just gonna get right to
Glad
it.
to
It
be
looks
here.
like there's some noise. It looks like there's some noise in the background. It looks like there's a bit of
Yes,
noise
I
in the
had to
background.
quickly. Yes, I'm still at AIT. I'm at the visitors room.
Okay.
So I'm gonna.
Okay.
Could you? I'm gonna. Okay, thank you. So they're keeping the noise
Yeah.
down for my sake. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Thank you so much. Because I wanna include
Yes.
you in my podcast selection. So I wanna start a podcast on Spotify. So I want to make sure that more people are able to hear our message. So thank you so much.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Thank you.
So let's get to it. What inspired you to become a disability rights advocate? The $1,000,000 question.
All right. I smiled because I saw the word inspired.
Mhm.
I go? All
Yeah.
right. So, well, I would say that it didn't start as an inspiration. It
Mhm.
started as a road traffic involved in a road traffic accident, happened to become a woman with disability all of a sudden at a very prime age of 22, and realizing that my life would have, has taken a total turn as a woman with disability, sustained spinal injury, and knowing that I probably may not be able to walk again for the rest of my life, except for a miracle. So I would say that it didn't start as an inspiration. It started as a life challenge because I had to first learn how to navigate life as a woman with disability, someone at age of 22 who has never really understood what life of a person with disability is like. And then now I am a person with a disability. First, I had to understand what life is for myself, if I was even going to have a life. And after that, of course, it came with all of its challenges, its setbacks, moments where I felt so depressed and discouraged, to the point where I had to make up my mind to live this life for myself, like make something good out of this life. And I would say that that was when I started living. And probably that is when the inspiration, I would say that was when the inspiration came, to use every opportunity and time I have to speak up for disability issues, to ensure that we create a lot of awareness around first disability issues, and also promote the the participation of persons with disabilities in every major sector in life, and to also identify what barriers that have limited the life of an average person with a disability, what has limited the life of this person, and to think of it that it's not even about the impairment that the person is suffering or is living with, but it's about the society that has created exclusion, that has ensured that barriers have everywhere. That is what speaks to, disability. So it's an interaction of the person's impairment and the environment that are inaccessible, that leads to the disability. So for me, becoming a disability rights activist, I needed to address all of these issues around barriers to institutional barriers, attitudinal barriers, and even environmental barriers that has limited our full participation as human beings with inherent rights first, before our impairment.
That is such an
Yeah.
inspiring. I know you said it started off with a tragedy, but I feel like you turned a mourning to morning, and
Exactly.
turned lemons into lemonade, because the light that you're giving all of us, not just persons with disabilities, but those of us who watch you work and watch you inspire us. Thank you for what you do. And this is from the
Thank you,
heart.
everyone. Yeah.
So, tell us about Inclusive Friends Association.
IFA, Inclusive Friends
Yes.
Association, yes. So in Inclusive Friends started in 2013, March precisely. So by March 2023, Inclusive Friends is going to be 10 years. So yeah. So Inclusive Friends started as an offshoot of my role as the first ever Miss Wheelchair Nigeria Queen, where, of course, I became Miss Wheelchair in 2011. My pageantry role was to run for 2011, 2012, and basically was to be an advocate and a spokesperson for then as at 2010, over 22 million Nigerians living with disabilities. My role then as a Miss Wheelchair was to push for the assent to the Disability Act, which a lot of leaders with disability have been advocating for even before I came into the space, was to push for the then president to assent to the disability bill, was to also promote inclusion and mainstreaming of persons with disabilities in every major sector, in health, in education, in politics. That was what my role was as a Miss Wheelchair Nigeria Queen, and that took me through 2011, 2012, and then in 2012, my reign as a Miss Wheelchair ended. And I realized that I had not even started, I've not even scratched the surface of advocacy as at 2012. And I knew that having to just go back to my normal life would be a huge setback to the work that I had begun in 2012 and 2011, 2012. And that was when we set up the Inclusive Friends Association to continue to deepen efforts, to continue to deepen advocacy around ensuring that the president has sent to the bill, because even while we continue to push for inclusion of persons with disabilities in every major sector, if there is no law to ensure that this is promoted, this is adhered to, we know that it's just going to be so much effort. But when there is a law on ground, we push for implementation action. And we started Inclusive Friends in 2013, and we continue to push for inclusion of persons with disability. And I would say that it's been a huge stride from when we started, and we didn't even see so much in terms of development and inclusion of persons with disability. We didn't quite see that much. And there's been a huge exclusion as such. Persons with disabilities didn't have their faces and their voices being heard, and they are not even seen at key decision-making table, and are not even seen in government or in every major sector, like I mentioned. And we continue to push for this effort since 2013 that we started till date. And if you would agree with me that from then till now, there has been huge, we can document huge milestones that have been achieved, a lot of grounds that have been broken. First, we have a Disability Act in Nigeria, which was assented to by President Muhammadu Buhari in 2019. We have an Electoral Act, which has been amended in 2022. We have a lot of policies and frameworks now guiding a lot of MDAs to practice, or rather to prioritize inclusion of persons with disabilities. So I would say that it's been a huge work that IFA began in 2013. And from 2013 till date, I would say that we've made remarkable impact in our dear country, Nigeria. And we continue to make, because for us, there's no stopping.
Thank you so much for that. Inclusive Friends has done so much for inclusion and advocacy. So we're now going to go into elections. Okay, this is the election season. So is there progress in disability inclusion in elections?
Yes, I would say there's progress.
Okay.
We are not where we used to be, and we're not there yet, but there's been a huge improvement in the sense that there has been an increased participation of persons with disabilities in the electoral process. And there's been a huge improvement. And I'm going to attribute this to a lot of work that organizations of persons with disabilities have tirelessly embarked upon. And I'm going to give it most especially to the campaign that Inclusive Friends has carried out, the Access Nigeria and the Participate Today campaign, to first ascertain what have limited the participation of people with disabilities in participating in election. We first of all documented those barriers. And then when we put them together, they informed our evidence-based advocacy to every key electoral stakeholders, starting with INEC, also with the National Assembly, to say that these barriers are the reasons for the reduced participation of persons with disabilities. Barriers, access to polling units, access to election materials, access to civic and voter education, and as overall political participation of people with disabilities, and how the system has made it itself almost impossible for persons with disabilities to run for political office, because the politics has become so monetized and so expensive for even the marginalized group to participate. And sometimes you look at it and it feels like a deliberate act to continue to marginalize some set of people within the society, looking at the marginalized group. Now, in terms of the progress that has been made in the electoral process, from 2016 till date, we can say significantly that the numbers have increased. I may not be able to tie a number to participation, but I would say to you that when it comes to interest, when it comes to people with disabilities wanting to participate in the electoral process, I would say that it has grown significantly. And we can see that so significantly in preparation in the lead up to the 2023 election. Because when it comes to, in terms of persons, the numbers of those who have registered as a new, those who
Okay, there's a bit of a network issue, but hopefully this would come through real soon. There's a bit of a network issue, so see. Okay, it looks like we're having some issues.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Are you there? Hello? Are you there? Hello? Okay. So it looks like we're having a bit of a network issue on the other end, but hopefully we should be able to get it. Please just hang tight with us. And it looks like there's also some technical issues with the Facebook stream and StreamYard. So I keep having to remove and put back. So if you're seeing any issues on Facebook, please just hang tight with me, okay? There she is. Okay, there you are. You know,
Yes.
this is the
I
internet
think
of
my network
things.
is
So
terrible. Yeah.
the internet of things. So we
Yeah.
could just continue.
Okay. Yeah. So I was talking about the increase in participation, and INEC reported that about 70% of the newly registered voters are the youth,
Yes.
women, and then persons with disabilities. That just goes to show how much interest and how much persons with disabilities are beginning to understand how it is important to cast their franchise, how it is important to elect a new leader who would.
Hello. It looks like there's a bit of a network issue, but just hang
Yes, it
tight with me.
is.
Okay, there you are. Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
you, yeah.
yes, I was speaking about the progress that has been made, talking about the 70% increase of the most marginalized group, and also talking about the improvements that INEC has made as regards provision of assistive materials to ensure persons with disabilities are able to vote successfully, are able to vote without any barrier in place. Another challenge would be, or no, well, I won't call it a challenge yet. I will talk about the participation of persons with disabilities who are going to be running even for elective offices, because we have about, I think, close to like between 12 to 18 persons with disabilities. I think 12 persons with in this election are going to be running
Okay.
for various political offices in this election.
Oh
And I
wow.
would say that that is a huge effort. That is a huge success to the community of persons with disabilities. The fact that persons with disabilities are going to be running for this election, it's a huge success. And then,
It's a
of
huge.
course, INEC is going to be deploying using the newly generated data of persons with disabilities to the community. I mean, deploying materials to where persons with disabilities are going to be using them for elections. There are various disaggregated polling units and what materials to deploy. So we're going to be seeing that happening in this election. But overall, speaking to the community of persons with disabilities, it's important that you go collect your PVCs to vote in this election. Yes, you came out a number to get registered for your PVC. One of the most important things you should do is to also go collect it, because we're trying to change the status quo. We're trying to elect a leader who would now begin to see to the implementation of the Disability Act that has been assented to the by the president. So progress has been made, I would say. I've said so much already.
Okay, no, that is fine. I think you had already talked about that more people, persons with disabilities, are actually running for elected office. So I know that that is an aspect, and INEC is
Yeah.
making some efforts to for more inclusion of persons with disabilities. So the next question, if is in case you have anything else to add, how can persons with disabilities feel like they're included in this electoral process? I'm going to go off screen, but I'm coming right back on. So you can go ahead and answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So looking at when you talk about how persons with disabilities can feel included. Another thing I didn't mention earlier was that we pushed for persons with disabilities to work as ad hoc staff for, I think we started this advocacy in 2021. We started pushing with the resident electoral commissioners of the various states to include persons with disabilities to work as ad hoc staff for this election. Now, if you want to talk about inclusion of persons with disabilities, a holistic approach. So we're not just included when it comes to voting, but we're also included in terms of running for elective offices, and we're also included as staff who are going to be overseeing the processes and procedures of voting. And we saw that happen in the just concluded Oshun election, where persons with disabilities, about 35 persons with disabilities were who applied for, or rather applied to work as ad hoc staff for the off-cycle election, and were trained, and I think about 10 of them also worked as ad hoc staff. So for us, yes, the numbers may not be huge, but it's a way of persons with disabilities feeling included in the electoral process. So we have persons with disabilities who were on ground to also participate in the voting process as ad hoc staff. Now, as part of feeling included is to ensure that there's sustained deployment of these assistive technologies, assistive devices, so that persons with disabilities can vote. Another thing that can also ensure their inclusion is to promote voter education. It's very important that the community of persons with disabilities know and understand what they are going to be doing at when they get to the polls. So voter education is very, very important, targeted at every cluster of disability, and also targeted at those from the grassroots. Because yes, I'm speaking in all English right now, but I'm sure that there are people who may be watching. I may not even understand a bit of what I am saying because they do not, because of the language, the communication barrier. So it is important that voter education is targeted from the grassroots to be able to, I mean, everyone should be carried along and no one should be left behind. Knowledge gap sometimes can prove as a way of excluding a demography. We're just talking about how a voter can come to a polling unit and still experience what an invalid vote at the end of the day. That's because a voter who has not been educated properly on what to do would probably get to the polling unit and thumbprint on every political party they see, or may mistakenly smear their ink, and automatically that's an invalid vote. So yes, voter education is very, very important as a way of ensuring that this community feel included. And of course, ensuring that when you come for voting, I mean, on election day, provisions have been made to ensure that you cast your vote with all assistance in terms of assistive technologies being present, and also observing your election in a secret ballot process where people cannot see what you're doing, and you're also prioritized as a person with disability on election. And I would give it to INEC. Over time they have sustained this, but we continue to call for more improvement in the processes.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to just talk to the audience right now. You all, if you have any questions for Grace Jerry, please make sure you put it in the comment section. Any questions for her, please put it in the comment section, okay? And please make sure you like and share. And if you have anything to say about our conversation, please just put it in the comment section. Thank you. So I'm just going to ask our next question. So we're going to go regionally now. Because you are actually an international election observer. You've actually observed elections in other countries. So just based on your observation in the countries that you've been in, has disability inclusion, has it progressed in other African countries? How are we doing regionally? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm going to speak for the countries that we've been able to interact. Yes, can you hear me too?
Okay. Yes, I can
Yes,
hear you.
I'm going to speak for the countries that we've been able to have um, provide technical support to, and the countries where, yeah, we have to be on ground to observe elections as international election observers. I would say that the best practice, we've been sharing with them best practice, we've been sharing with them progress that has been made back here in Nigeria, and all of the methodologies that we use to push for an inclusive election for people with disabilities in Nigeria, our strategic engagement with key stakeholders. And FWA, I'm going to give it to you at this point also, because I remember when we had the mapping exercise with you, strategic engagement and advocacy, how you would work on who are the key people, who are your targets, who are your allies, to ensuring that whatever campaign you are pushing is successful, is well listened to, and also prioritized. And I remember those strategies really worked to make sure that we engage with the key stakeholders, and we push to prioritize issues of provisions of
Okay, hang tight, y'all. She'll be right up. She'll be right up. Because she's really saying and mentioning some key nuggets in terms of engaging as an organization. Okay, it looks like we're having a bit of a network issues. So she was just talking about pretty much conducting a stakeholder analysis of who they need to talk to, providing technical assistance to other countries. Okay, she's coming right up. There you are.
Oh my goodness, so sorry about that. I
Oh
don't know
no,
what
it's
is
okay.
happening, but it's fine. Yeah,
It's
so I
the
was speaking
Internet of
about,
Things.
oh yeah, it is. I was speaking about the countries where we have provided technical support as by way of sharing our experience and how well we have pushed for inclusive election here in Nigeria. And FY mentioned you, I think that was the point where the network 2 was out, where we had a strategic session with you on how we can engage with these key stakeholders, mapping out who our targets are, who our allies are. Do you remember we had that session with you,
Yes,
FY?
yes, yes.
And how much that, that much that really worked in terms of getting a lot of people, the buy-in of a lot of key stakeholders to be on board this campaign with us. And so it made the process a lot of easier, it made the process seamless, and it made the process faster because we had people who bought into ensuring increased participation of people with disabilities within the sectors that we are looking out for to bring about these changes that we wanted to see. So we shared this strategy with our African countries who were also going into election with the communities of people with disabilities to say, hey, this is how strategic it would be for you to engage. And we also shared with them some of the assistive technologies we were able to design together with INEC for the community of persons with disabilities to be able to use. And to also say that of course, these technologies are things that work in progress, can be modified at any time to continue to suit the terrain, to continue to suit the changes that we continue to experience in our electoral process. But overall, I would say that some countries have made progress in terms of data. Some countries have made progress in terms of ensuring that they prioritize persons with disabilities when it comes to e-day processes. But I would say that the gaps are still enormous. I was in Kenya recently for the just concluded presidential election. And I mean, you could see that persons with disabilities were not really so prioritized when it comes to barriers to the environment. Yes, the layout, you could see that the outer layout of the polling stations are kind of accessible to an extent, but their voting was done in the classrooms. And some of these classrooms have steps leading up into the classrooms. And I, as an international election observer, could not even observe in some of the polling unit because of the accessibility challenge. So I had to rely on the observer team to just observe some of the processes and just share back with me. And I have pictures and videos that I captured of people with disabilities who have to be lifted up, I mean, staircases all the way to go vote in like a first or a second floor of a building. And I cannot even imagine. It's so heartbroken and I see where there is a gap in terms of disaggregated data, because if there's a disaggregated data, you would relocate that voter whose polling unit is on the first floor of a building. You would relocate that person to vote in a polling unit that is way more accessible. Of course, I didn't see the tactile ballot. They have what is called the tactile ballot for the blind community. I didn't see that. So persons who with visual impairment had to rely on somebody to help them to print. So these are the things that we're trying to really, really change in the process of election in African countries where persons with disabilities can vote unaided. Yes, the electoral law says you can come with someone who you trust to be able to help you through the process, but how much would that person ensure that your vote is casted in terms of this is what I want? So it's about time that the whole system is reviewed, the Electoral Act is reviewed, and also the disability law within those those countries are also looked at critically to continue to promote inclusive participation, and not just election, but in every major sector for increase and participation of persons with disability.
Thank you so much. That was quite an analysis of your observation in Kenya and even providing technical support in other countries. So I'm going to, before I go into my final question, again, if you have any questions for Grace Jerry, please make sure you put it in the comment section, okay? Because we're going into our final question. And if you like what you're watching, please like and share, okay? Thank you. And again, one thing I forgot to tell you, please just chat me up. Let me know where you're watching from. Okay, let me know where you're watching from. And I saw here, I saw Dr. Bridget Egboha said she was watching from Orlando, Florida. So let us know where you're watching from, and I will give you a shout out. Okay, thank you. All right. So our next question is, how has INEC prepared for disability inclusion in this 2023 election? Please, Grace, can you make sure you hold on to your speaker? Like, looks like your hair is rubbing against it. There you
Oh,
go.
sorry about that.
No, it's fine. So how has
Yeah, so
INEC
what's the
prepared
question?
for, yes, how has INEC prepared for disability
Prepared for.
inclusion in 2023 elections?
All right. So, in the lead up to this election, of course, like the other elections in time past, we have worked closely, really, really closely with INEC to address the issues of disaggregated data. Because in as much as provisions for assistive technologies were made, there's still a gap, huge gap in terms of deployments and the utilization of these materials because of the absence of disaggregated data. And we started the process in 2020, 2021 to come up with disaggregated data within 12 states to give to INEC to update their voter register. And of course, the CVR exercise that commenced in 2021 leading up to 2022 also saw the redesign of the portal where persons with disabilities can mention their disability status, and also, of course, provide their VIN number that shows their polling unit. And also, for the first time, INEC is going to be using the disability data to deploy assistive technologies to the various places where the persons with disabilities are registered. So I think for this election, we're going to document a better utilization. And we're also working with them to promote voter in terms of the training for the ad hoc staff, because another part where we have noticed the gap is the interaction between the ad hoc staff and the person with disability. Yes, these devices are made available, but in terms of utilization, we notice that there are still gaps. So the training of this ad hoc staff, where Inclusive Friends, we have called on INEC to say we need to also work with you, because these are the last people that interact with the people with disability. So it's important for them to know what to do when they meet a person with disability. So these are places, these are the areas where we are working with INEC to also prepare for this 2023 election. And overall is to make sure that the general security and lives of persons with disabilities are secure. So we're also working with security agencies to promote safety for everyone, but most importantly, persons with disabilities. And another thing we're also doing is to sensitize the community as a whole to go out there and make sure you cast your ballot. And one of the things you would do to promote, to create safety for yourself is, as soon as you vote, you leave the polling unit. Don't stay back trying to observe anything, because when violence erupts, you are going to be the hardest hit as a person with disability. So we're promoting, massive turnout of persons with disabilities, and we're also prioritizing voter education all the way to the grassroots, coming up with some methodologies that would leave no one behind. We're coming up with community theaters, community drama, dramatizing the whole entire process, so people know what to do when they get to the polling unit on election day. But overall, I would say that organizations of people with disabilities have been working really closely with INEC, because we know that our community need or every major intervention to make the process work.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. So we're just gonna, again, you've really gone through the length and breadth in terms of disability inclusion, especially inclusion in elections in Nigeria, what INEC has been doing so far, and some of the gaps that we experience in the regional elections as well, and how, the way you've just become a subject matter expert in disability rights, disability advocacy, and even inclusion in their civic duty, because people, politicians don't count people, they count votes. So you really worked to empower them to be able to vote. So looks like the network has knocked Grace off, but she has really said quite a bit on disability inclusion in the electoral process in Nigeria, not just in Nigeria, but in sub-Saharan Africa. So we're just going to wait a few moments for her to come back up to be able to give us her final thoughts. But while we wait for her, why don't you just put in the comment section what you've pretty much gathered in this conversation? What have you gathered? And also, don't be shy. Let me know where you're watching from, okay? Let me know where you're watching from. I will give you a shout out in the banner, in terms, just like I did with Dr. Egwaha, in terms of watching from Orlando, Florida. So let me know where you're watching from, okay? If you're watching from Nigeria, if you're watching from Ghana, from Sierra Leone, wherever, just let us know where you're watching from, okay? And pretty much your thoughts on the conversation that we're having on disability inclusion. We're having a few issues with Facebook, and I've seen that I've kept having to remove and re-add on Facebook. I think I've done it about 4 or 5 times now. So it just seems to be weird in terms of the streaming services connection to Facebook. But on LinkedIn and YouTube, everything seems to be working very smoothly. We're still waiting on Grace to come back and come right on. While we're waiting for her, I'm just going to say a few announcements. Please hang tight with us. Just make sure that you go on my YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/social impact consulting, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. What that does, I'm going to be going live on how to start your NGO in 30 days. I see Mrs. Eki Ibenedion. She is watching from Abuja. Okay. Thank you so much, Ma, for watching. So anybody else who is watching, please make sure you give me a shout out. I'm just gonna put it up on the screen. Okay. Again, thank you so much for watching. And she's watching on YouTube. So if you're having any issues with Facebook, just let me know. It looks like the streaming service keeps giving me signals on some of the issues going on Facebook. So let me know where you're watching from. So like I said, please visit us at www.youtube.com/social impact consulting. I'm going to be showing you videos every day on how to start your NGO in 30 days. Okay. In addition to that, I am going to upload this very trailer Untold Impact, the Role of Civil Society in Development. I'm going to upload it on Facebook, and I'm starting a playlist with all the episodes, all the 7 episodes of Untold Impact. Okay, but we're going to be having a pre-screening a day, and we're also going to be having a press briefing on Untold Impact. So a lot of exciting things are coming up, which I'm very excited about, okay? And it's all happening within the next couple of weeks. So exciting stuff, okay? So it looks like we're having issues with Grace Jerry coming up. Again, you guys, thank you so much for watching the Development Sector Series, which is Devsectorseries, talking about disability inclusion in elections. She's already said a lot, okay? And there was something she said a few minutes ago about a training that I conducted with them, Inclusive Friends Association, when they started their Access Nigeria campaign, Disability Votes Matter. I conducted a stakeholder analysis, talking about all the stakeholders that they need to work with to become the subject matter expert that they are today. So if you're an organization, you want to become the known expert in what you're doing, you want to really be able to advocate for your initiative around the country or around the continent, you can hit me up. I will conduct a 3-day advocacy training for you and your organization. So let me know if you're interested, okay? So again, thank you all so much for watching the Development Sector Series, #DevSectorSeries, and I will see you next week. Let's change the world together. Take care.